Hello, it's time to place some dominoes. Let's play pips. We'll start with the easy puzzle. Another Rodolfo. They're all Rodolfo again today. That's always encouraging. Okay, what do we have here? Wonder why they make this puzzle have so much white space. Look at this. I can't fit it on because it's just an outrageous amount of white space they put on this here. Anyway, I don't know. So we need 4 of something. Looks like 4 2s is what we need. So we'll put a 0 2 here, 0 5 here because that's all we can do. Double 2 and a 2 3, and that's that. All right, that was the easy puzzle. We'll move on to medium. Okay. Oh, interesting. We need to fit 5 in 5 cells, which could be, in theory, that could be 5 1s. It might be. Look at that, because we could, well, no. I was going to say we could produce the 5s with a double 0 and a double 5. But we can't, because that would block that thing off at the top. We still could do that by having, a 5 come in from over there. Let's just do this because I'm curious to see if this will work. Actually, no, this would need to be here, which is, I guess, fine in theory as well. And then we'd need 3 and 4 down here, which means we need 3 more to finish the 10. And yeah, this works. This works. Oh, that's a clever puzzle. That's a funny one. All right, well, there we go. Let's move on to the hard. Okay, here we go. A very densely packed grid. And we have a 6-sized non-equivalence region. That's interesting. Are there any pip counts we're missing? There are not. We do have at least one of everything, so we can't determine the composition of that on that basis. Okay, we have a 1 up here and a greater than 16. So the greater than 16 will require at least 2 6s. It'll be either 2 6s and a 5 or 3 6s. And in fact, we only have 2 6s. So the 16 is 2 6s and a 5. That we know. Right, so the 6 can't go into the less than 3 region because we don't have a 6 connected to anything that fits there. What about the 5? Yeah, the 5 could be a 0 or a 2 going into there. I mean, it'll probably be the 2 just because that's more common with the less than 3, but it doesn't need to be. And we do have a 2 being called for elsewhere, and another less than 3, actually. Oh, and we have a less than 1. That'll be one of our zeros. 2 less than 1s. That'll be 2 of our zeros. That's good to know. We have a 3 and a 2 neighboring each other, and we don't have those in a single domino. So those will have to be pointing into the non-equivalence region. Okay, where are the limitations in this puzzle? The 4, we only have one instance of 4s on dominoes, and it's a double 4. So it will go here, and it'll be pointing in one of the 3 possible directions. Actually, it won't be this one because we don't have a 2 3, so that we know. So it'll be this way or horizontally. It's not very interesting, but it's true. We need 2 of something that doesn't yet feel difficult or constrained. Oh, we have another less than 1. Did I count that? I think I must have, yeah. So there's a less than 1 going to a less than 2. We don't have double 0, so this if these connected, it would be 0 1, which we do have. It could be that. If that were true, I mean, we already knew we needed the less than 3 connected to the greater than 16, so that's not hugely interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure where to get started with this one. What about connecting the 1 to the greater than 16? Actually, that looks like that's not possible. Again, not hugely interesting, because if it doesn't connect to the greater than 16, that just means it connects to this huge inequivalence region, which is not yet meaningfully constrained in my estimation. Right. It might be a case of needing to start counting up what are constrained by the less than. So this is a case where doing this with a kind of notepad or something would be helpful. So how many zeros are called for immediately? 2 right off the bat, and we have 3. Then we need less than 2, less than 2. So those are maximum 1. So we have 3 instances where we have maximum 1, but we already have 4 1s. So we don't even necessarily need to dip into our 0 budget for that one either. Yeah, I just don't see where the restrictions are yet. What's coming off of the 3? Okay, we have lots of things. I was trying to think, can I start narrowing down the inequivalence region? I mean, we know that the inequivalence region already has a 4 spoken for. That's not very interesting. And then it'll have something coming off the 1, which could be a 0, 1, or 2, which is also still pretty open-ended. Should I just start trying things then? Should I try and waste my 0 on the less than... Oh, no, that's not correct, sorry. Should I try and waste one of my zeros on the less than 3 and see if that causes problems? Then we would need 2 6s in the greater... Well, we would always need 2 6s in the greater than 16, but we still will. That would mean neither of them can point into the less than 3. I guess it'll always mean that, actually. No matter what the 5 is, that will always mean we have 6s flanking it. I guess that is a conclusion, which means the 6 points into this equivalence region, which makes the equivalence region either 5s or 3s. If it were 5s, that would be limiting on the inequivalence region because it would use our... Oh, no, it can't be 5s. Okay, this is something. Maybe this is where I should start. I'll take that out. It can't be 5s because then we'd need to use 2 5s and we wouldn't have a 5 left for the single cell 5 region. So that means this one is 6, 3. I think this is forced. I think this is correct. This is my first correct conclusion, I think, in terms of a placement. What about the other 6? The other 6 goes this way because it can't go up into the 1. Okay, yeah, these are both forced. I didn't really see this before, to be honest with you. This means the less than 1 and the less than 2 are, in fact, bridged, which means a 0, it's either a double 0, which we don't have, or it's a 0, 1, which we do. So that means it is that. Okay, we're getting somewhere here. Now we need another 3 to finish the equivalence region. That must point down, because if it points across, we'll be left with an odd number of cells down at the bottom. So 3 points to 0 to be less than 1, which is also forced. Yeah, it's happening. We're going to be limiting all of these very low less than counts by just using them all up. That's what we're doing here. Now we have a 5 that points up into something. That'll be 5 pointing up to... Oh, interesting. Yeah, we only have 2 5 options. So the 5s are basically done at this point because one of them will go up here and the other one will go over here. We just don't know the order yet because over in this instance, over on the sort of western border, either one of them would work in theory. So it'll just matter what we have left in the non-equivalence region to fill. Okay, what can we do now? Less than 2 and less than 3, which means 0 or 1 going into 0, 1, or 2. So it could be this 1, 2, could be this 1, 1. It'll be one of those, which means, oh, yeah, we can't put a 0 in the less than 2 because we don't have a 0 that connects to anything that's less than 3. So that means what I mean there then, no, never mind. I was going to say that means we've used all our 1s, but it doesn't. Because if we do this, we have a double 1 left still. Never mind. Okay, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything interesting. The 4 that points out can't go this way. We've already determined it can't go this way, so it goes this way. That's something. Again, we're just getting things in the grid. Now the 3 points into the non-equivalence region, and so does the 2. That'll probably start to limit things at this point. Oh, we only have 1 3, and that's this. It's a double 3, so that's done. Okay, and now we have a 5 that points up, right? That could still be either of those currently. We have a 2 that points across. Couldn't be the 2 5. We already are using the 5s, so that wouldn't have ever been a reasonable option. We need a 1 that points across into there, which will be a 1 1 or a 1 2. No, it can't be the 1 2, can it? Oh no, why can't it? Maybe it can be. Can it not? My brain was telling me it can't be. Why would that be? Why would that be the case? Is there any reason that can't work? Then we'd need less than 2 and less than 3, which would be that. No, I was right. It can't work because, yeah, now our only 2 option would be putting a 2 here, and we already have a 2 in the non-equivalence region. So yeah, this 1 2 doesn't work up there, which means this needs to be the 1 1, which means the only way to fill the less than 2 and less than 3 is this 1 2. And then, so we have 1 3 4 5. So our 2 can only be a 2. Sorry, what I mean is the cell that fills the single cell 2 region must connect to a 2 in the non-equivalence region in order not to duplicate a pip count. And then that finally disambiguates which of these 5s goes here, because we already have a 2 in the non-equivalence region, so we have a 0 in order not to break it. And then finally, we complete the puzzle over there. That was a very good puzzle, and it took me a couple of minutes to get into the flow of it. But I really enjoyed it once we were actually in. So that worked really well. Yeah, it just took me a bit of time to understand the starting deductions, but then it all came together. All right, those were the pips. Back tomorrow. Bye for now.